Hey guys, welcome to the Brushpix YouTube channel. We are a comic book company that loves to talk about other mediums, including movies, TV shows, and video games. If you like any of those things, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon below.
When I think about the Batman series as an IP, I feel it's the greatest superhero series that could possibly have been created, followed closely by Spider-Man. I just find the lore of Batman to be so interesting and exciting, and so every time a new movie comes out, I'm very critical and very, hesitant to be able to get on board with it. I believe that the Dark Knight series was the greatest Batman series ever created. I really like Ben Affleck and what he was doing with it, but there were a lot of issues with the writing and with the way in which Batman was scaling compared to the other superheroes, and so there were a lot of issues. Now, this new movie, directed by Matt Reeves and starring Robert Pattinson, looks great. I was a little hesitant at first because I wasn't sure which villains they were going to use and what angle they were going to really come at me with when it comes to the way in which they're portraying Batman, his power level, how he interacts with the world, and really how grounded it was going to be. But after seeing the actual trailer, all of that was put to bed for me. The trailer looked dark and gritty, almost like I was watching the movie Seven. I really enjoy the opportunity to see a movie where Batman becomes both a crime fighter, but also really a detective. In many of his other movies, they didn't really explore that aspect of his character very thoroughly. And so to be able to think about a Batman that actually has to deal with the Riddler, who's serious, who's almost a serial killer, and is actually maniacal and is trying to outwit Batman, is very exciting for me. I love to be able to see that one scene in the trailer where he's beating up the criminal and then says he's vengeance. That was awesome. Just to sort of see how Batman is fighting these people. It's a very efficient but very brutal style, which I find exciting. And then hearing his tone for the first time when he's wearing the cowl is interesting too. It's very different than I would say Ben Affleck's would be, or some of the other Batman that we've seen. So it's very exciting for me all around. I have much good hope for this movie. I think that they can do a great job with it, as long as they really keep the story tight and they don't worry about trying to bring in the expanded universe, but just making this one single movie great will allow for this to really succeed. Now, there are a few things that I'm also very excited about for this movie. Robert Pattinson is a very skilled actor. We've seen him in a lot of different movies other than just Twilight. And one of the things that I appreciate about him is that he has a very subtle way of acting. His smaller tones in his face, the smaller expressions that he can create and make are very great. And so to be able to play a subdued role like Bruce Wayne along with this is exciting and interesting. So overall, I'm very hopeful for this movie. With any luck, it will be something that's a large success, and we'll be able to see more movies like this. I believe that being able to make R-rated movies that are for a wide audience is the best way to do it. If you're going to go for a PG-13 movie, that's fine. But don't just sort of go halfway. And so if you're going to give it the R rating, make sure that you put in as much as you possibly can. Just like they did with Logan. Just like they did with Deadpool. That's a truly R-rated movie made for an adult audience. And because of that, people will want to go see it, and they'll continue to go see it. And that's something that's very exciting for me about all of this. If you compare Batman to some of the other superheroes that are out there in the DCEU, such as Superman and Wonder Woman, I just feel that he's the most grounded and relatable and exciting. So if you compare Batman to some of the other characters, I just really feel like he is someone that I naturally want to root for and see lead and see just succeed. And that was one of the issues that I really had with the Justice League movie, was that Batman really wasn't leading the way he should have been, and he couldn't really keep up with the other heroes as he really has been able to do in other forms and iterations. Additionally, if you look at Batman versus Superman, how do I describe it? I would say that his actual motivations for why he wanted to fight Superman and then why he suddenly wanted to be friends with him weren't well laid. If you compare that to the MCU version, where they had Civil War, we'd already had 3 or 4 movies with both Iron Man and Captain America, where we could see their differences and see how they clashed, and you could see the micro battles beginning to grow. Here, this was your first introduction to him, and it became very difficult to really understand where they're coming from. And so, to be able to see a situation here with Matt Reeves' movie where we don't have to worry about any of those issues is just exciting. We don't have to worry about the DCEU anymore. We don't have to worry about Darkseid or Wonder Woman or Superman and figure out how to scale all of that together. We don't have to worry about anything other than Batman and all of his villains, because the villains specific to Batman are the most interesting and the most exciting. I love the Riddler. I love Joker, Penguin. All of those guys are great. And to be able to just only focus on them is just, I feel, a far better way to go about it. I mean, even if you look at the Arkham games, those are some of my favorites. And there, you're only dealing with Batman's villains. You're only dealing with his sidekicks and everything going on in his world. Because realistically, Batman's world in and of itself is more than enough to carry the interest of the fans. The second you introduce more, the more complicated it gets. And sometimes a simple movie that goes for a very specific purpose is going to be more than enough. A Batman movie that's a crime drama, a Batman movie that's a bit on action too, is more than enough for me, and I'm excited to see this take.